Fenway Park opened its doors on April 20th of 1912. And throughout time ever since, the ballpark has continued to grow in that exact same plot of land, as well as the surrounding neighborhood has grown through the development of Fenway Park over the years. Now, it was many decades later, but in 1999, plans were announced for a new Fenway to be built across the street from where we're standing right now. This ballpark was considered obsolete. It was time to knock it down, move on, build something larger, as you've seen happen across the country over the past several years. And the city even provided the real estate for the new ballparks to be built. But it was local fans and local neighborhood groups that all joined together in support of Fenway, and they successfully did away with any plans to knock down this local landmark. 2001 came along, our ownership at the time sold the team to the current ownership group, who invested over $285 million to preserve and renovate Fenway Park. All done without any public funding or tax dollars. The ownership is completely private today. And the renovations that have been performed in the past decade have ensured Fenway Park's survival for future generations. And the hope is that the Red Sox will continue to call Fenway Park home for another 30, maybe even 50 plus years of baseball. And we welcome each and every one of you to Fenway Park, a living museum and home of the Boston Red Sox. Please follow Abby and enjoy the rest of the tour today.
Here is the finish. Ramsey's foot round it because his body's facing the other way. Ramsey's foot round, he gets his standing foot off, they're going to get his hip out of the way.
Come on up, everybody. Right up this way to the grandstand. We'll get started in just a minute.
All right, come on up, grab a seat. So like he said, we opened up here April 20th, 1912, opening day against the New York Highlanders, our arch rivals at the time. We beat them 7-6 in 11 innings, which is worthy of front page news the next day, right? You open up your ballpark, you win your first game, but something else is happening that very same week in 1912. It's actually splashed all over headlines, all over the world. Anybody know?
Titanic.
You got it, the Titanic sank the same week Fenway Park opened. So this gives you an idea of just how long this park has been around. But we did end up making headlines. A few months later, we won our second World Series title in 1912. Our first. What's the little 86-year stretch called? I know it's a sensitive subject. Okay, the curse, exactly. The curse of the Bambino. So the Bambino, George Herman Ruth, better known as Babe Ruth, he gets a lot of the flack here in Boston, right? Because he plays for Boston and then he leaves us like a traitor for New York, and then he curses the city, and that's why we can't win a World Series for 86 years. But that's not really the whole story. We don't blame Babe Ruth here. We blame our owner at the time, Harry Frazee. First of all, Babe Ruth, he comes up to Boston in 1914. He's a dominant left-handed pitcher. He helps us win 3 World Series titles. How can you hate a guy like that? Our owner, Harry Frazee, in 1919, he likes baseball, but he has another passion in life. He really loves Broadway musicals. So he has a show sitting on his desk. He has no money to finance it. What's a man to do? He's gonna sell his players to finance his new show. First guy to go is Babe Ruth for $100,000 to the New York Yankees. But that's not where the story ends. So the loss of Babe Ruth is definitely damaging for any team, but that's not what does the Red Sox in. Harry Frazee goes on to sell 15 other of our star players that very same year. Those 15 guys sold for a lump total of $25,000. Remember Babe Ruth? One guy sold for $100,000. So 16 guys leave town, 125 grand comes back. None of it goes to Fenway Park or the Red Sox. Don't be ridiculous. It all goes into his new musical, No, No, Nanette. By show of hands, how many of you have seen No, No, Nanette live on stage? Look around. I rest my case. It was a total flop. Box office disaster. The money is gone. The team is left in shambles. And so the Red Sox go on to become one of the worst teams in baseball history for the decade of the 20s. For that 10-year span, 8 out of 10 years, they finished in dead last place in the league. The only other 2 years they didn't finish in last place, they finished in second to last place. They had over 100 losses in 1927, 28, and 29. But that wasn't even the worst of it. There's fires here all over Fenway Park. The park is falling apart. The worst fire happened in May of 1926. Happened right behind me in all these red seats on the third base side. Fan comes to the park, lights up a cigar, puts it out on his seat, which was basically a long wooden bench. The entire section burns down after the game. Fortunately, no one is hurt in the incident, but unfortunately for the Red Sox, no one buys tickets to see the worst team in baseball. We have no money to fix those seats. Our owner at the time, Robert Quinn, has to reach into his own pocket, buys a rope. He ropes off that whole burned out section, and he leaves the charred remains behind for the next 7 seasons. Picture you come to Fenway Park and there's no seats behind me, just a bunch of burned out splintered wood, but on the bright side, the third baseman and left fielder are allowed to jump over the rope into the burned out seats to catch fly baseballs. It's a silver lining. We don't have a lot of foul territory to work with, so I guess it kind of made sense. But our luck did begin to change because in 1933, a new owner comes to town. His name is Thomas Austin Yawkey. Tom Yawkey, he's 29. He's already a millionaire many times over, but he's a hardworking guy. He made his money the old-fashioned way. He inherited every single penny from his parents. So his 30th birthday is right around the corner. He wants to get himself something nice. Why not Fenway Park and the Red Sox, right? Not too shabby. He buys the park and the team for a record $1.2 million. A lot of money back then, especially for the Depression era. But what's even more impressive is how much he transforms Fenway Park upon his arrival. So this park was built in 1912, but today it resembles a little bit more of a 1934 Fenway Park. I mean, he was like no other. It was pretty much guaranteed. If he was playing at Fenway, he'd hit one over the wall. So a reporter asked him one point, Joe, how are you able to hit so many home runs over the Green Monster at Fenway Park? And he said, it's because I'm inspired by that sign. I'm like, what are you talking about? The sicko sign? What's so inspirational about that? It says it doesn't say sicko. It says see it go. Nice corny joke for you, but it's true. All right, guys, so we're going to move on now. We're going to head over to the Red Sox Hall of Fame straight down this hallway. As we make our way down there, though, you're going to see every single Sports Illustrated cover that's ever been graced by a member of the Red Sox. Okay, so this is our Red Sox Hall of Fame. Really not associated with the big Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, just our own little popularity contest. The rules are you had to serve the organization in some capacity for at least 3 seasons and you can be voted in. So you'll notice it's not just players in there. There's owners, managers, coaches, commentators, anything like that. 3 years here. You also have to be 3 years removed from the organization in order to be eligible. So some recognizable faces you'll probably see in there, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, some less recognizable faces, Jean Yawkey, that was Tom Yawkey's wife. She actually owned the team from 1976 until she passed away in 1992. She's actually the only female in the Red Sox Hall of Fame until my pod goes in there, of course. Now I wanted to show you some stuff in this stairwell, so feel free to kind of move in closer if you want to see it. The first thing is right here at the base of the stairs. Feel free to scoot up, or if you want to come up the stairs, that helps too. If you notice, large photography would say something like, it's a beautiful day here in Baltimore. They are right here at Fenway Park. They have no idea, so fun little secret for you. But like I said, this is the written press box. And if you look at this tabletop in front of you, you'll see there's a bunch of empty nameplates. It's all assigned seating in here. First row, you are the most important, most senior people in the room. You are members of the Baseball Writers Association of America. You get a say as far as who wins all the big awards at the end of every season, who makes it into the Hall of Fame, and you are dealt the almighty power of deciding whether these windows stay open or closed. Doesn't seem like much, but this is baseball-proof glass. As soon as you open up one of these windows, you are no longer baseball-proof. So if a baseball makes it up here, we have an EMT on call up here if you open the window, just in case an eager beaver reporter either, jams a finger, breaks their nose, or worse, loses their laptop over the edge. We every kind of crisis. Now over here in the second row is more local media and any spillover of the Baseball Writers Association. Third row is generally visiting team, out-of-town media. We've got fourth row all the way in the back. Can you guys even see what's happening down in the field back there? It's so high up. There's an overhang, partially obstructed view. They actually have TVs up there so they can see what's happening on the field in case anything's obstructed. That's for any New York media that somehow makes it past We do our best. I'm just kidding, of course, but that seems a little counterintuitive, right? Why would we put media that's supposed to be covering the game in a spot that they can barely see what's going on? It's because going into the 2007 season, we were actually expecting a massive influx of media members attending every single game. Does anybody know why?
Daisuke.
You got it, Daisuke. Daisuke Matsuzaka, also Hideki Okajima, two big Japanese pitchers for us here. And anytime they pitched, 150 additional media members were requesting credentials to the game. Just to give you an idea, this is the largest press box in Major League Baseball. We can accommodate 100 reporters in here, 150 more, not so much. So we decided to expand the press box by one row, and we also built an auxiliary press area behind this one. Just extra space, extra room. They watch the game on a live feed. They certainly don't have the same view as the reporters in here, but everyone can get their work done. Sometimes reporters actually rotate turns, watching the game from inside the press box and outside the press box, just so everyone has a fair share of time. All right. Any questions? Anything at all? All right. Now, some of you were asking me along the way, and this is a good spot to talk about it. You might have noticed out in the bleachers, underneath the Ford billboard sign, do you see that one red seat and all that green? About 15 rows behind or beneath the orange Ford. Does anybody know what that red seat marks?
Ted Williams.
Ted Williams. Anybody else? Longest home run, you got it. It marks the longest home run ever hit here at Fenway Park by the late, great Ted Williams. He did so on June 9th, 1946. That seat is 502 feet away from home plate. Longest home run ever, and it was hit in 1946. No man has hit a longer home run here at Fenway since. Pretty baffling, right? You'd think besides the guys today, they would be jacking home runs out there every other day. But I'd like to give you a point of perspective to illustrate, in fact, how difficult that is to do. Number one, in 1999, we had the All-Star game here at Fenway Park. What do we have generally the day before the All-Star game? Home run derby. Those guys are trying to hit home runs. As many as they can, as far as they can. Nobody even got close to that chair. The closest anybody got was a few rows beyond the bullpen, and that was it. But to be fair, for point perspective number two, you do have to be a power lefty. I mean, it's pretty deep right field. So we always defer to our power lefty, David Ortiz. He comes to this park every year, opening day. He looks out at that seat and he goes, they moved that seat back, right? No way somebody hit it that far. So he's in disbelief, we're in disbelief. Maybe if another home run gets hit that's farther than that, we'll put in a purple seat. I don't know, but that's a record that's been standing for quite some time. We've had a lot of fun trying to break it.
What year was that?
That was 1946. Any other questions? All right, guys, so I think we have a few more minutes. What I want to do is I want to run over down the right field side, and I want to tell you a little bit about the Green Monster scoreboard, and then we're going to head out to the nation. Words, do you see little black dashes? Those are their eye holes, my friends. 2 inches tall, a foot wide, at about shoulder level. They get to crouch and split